Another day, another story. As you watch someone carelessly munching on an apple core, some vague alarm bells go off in your head. Didn't you hear somewhere that apple seeds are poisonous? Well, apple seeds can indeed be poisonous, but it takes quite a few of them to kill you, and only if they have been crushed. Apple seeds, and the seeds of related plants, such as pears and cherries, contain amygdalin, a cyanogenic glycoside composed of cyanide and sugar. When metabolized in the digestive system, this chemical degrades into highly poisonous hydrogen cyanide, HCN. Welcome to Turbo Eminent Channel. A lethal dose of HCN can kill within minutes. Thankfully, there are several factors that make death by apple seed very unlikely. First, the amygdalin is accessible only if the seeds have been crushed or chewed. A whole unbroken seed will pass right through. Second, the human body can process HCN in small doses, so a couple of chewed seeds are usually completely harmless. Finally, the average adult would need to eat anywhere from 150 to several thousand crushed seeds, depending on the apple variety, to be at risk of cyanide poisoning. The average apple contains only about 5 to 8 seeds. So unless someone is eating their 18th consecutive apple core and has been meticulously chewing all the seeds, they should be fine with their occasional absent-minded core chomping. Yes, apple seeds contain a compound called amygdalin, which can release cyanide when metabolized by the body. However, the amount of cyanide released from apple seeds is generally very small and would typically not be harmful to adults if a few seeds are accidentally ingested. However, consuming a large number of apple seeds could potentially lead to cyanide poisoning, which could be fatal. It's always best to avoid ingesting apple seeds and to discard them when eating apples, especially if you're concerned about the potential risks. While the cyanide content in apple seeds is a concern, it's essential to understand the context and magnitude of the risk. The seeds of apples, like those of many fruits in the rose family, contain amygdalin, a cyanogenic glycoside. When chewed or crushed, amygdalin can release cyanide, a potent toxin. However, the amount of cyanide released from ingesting a few apple seeds is typically very low and is unlikely to cause harm to adults. The body can detoxify small amounts of cyanide through natural processes. In fact, many people inadvertently consume apple seeds without experiencing any adverse effects. Historical context: the cyanide content in apple seeds has been known for centuries. In folklore and literature, there are tales of using crushed apple seeds as a poison. However, it's essential to recognize that while apple seeds do contain cyanide, the concentration is relatively low compared to more toxic sources. Cyanide and health. Cyanide is a potent toxin that interferes with the body's ability to use oxygen, leading to cellular suffocation. While it's true that apple seeds contain amygdalin, which can release cyanide, the human body can detoxify small amounts of cyanide through natural processes. Quantity matters. The risk of cyanide poisoning from ingesting a few apple seeds is minimal for adults. However, the situation changes if someone were to consume a large number of seeds. In such cases, the cumulative effect of cyanide could potentially lead to poisoning. Variation in cyanide content. Not all apple seeds contain the same amount of cyanide. The concentration can vary depending on factors such as the apple variety and growing conditions. However, even in apples with higher cyanide content, the risk remains relatively low when consuming small quantities of seeds. Handling and disposal. While the risk to adults is low, it's essential to be cautious, especially around children and pets who may accidentally ingest apple seeds. Proper handling and disposal of apple cores, which contain the seeds, can help mitigate any potential risks. Alternative uses. Despite their cyanide content, apple seeds have been used in traditional medicine for various purposes, albeit with caution. Some proponents claim health benefits, but these claims are not supported by scientific evidence, and ingestion of large amounts of apple seeds for medicinal purposes can be dangerous. Folklore and legends. The association of apple seeds with poison can be traced back to folklore and mythology. In various cultures, stories abound of characters using crushed apple seeds or apple cores as a means of administering poison. These tales have contributed to the perception of apple seeds as potentially harmful. Literary references. The idea of apple seeds containing cyanide has found its way into literature and popular culture. For example, in the classic fairy tale of Snow White, the evil queen gives Snow White a poisoned apple. While the specific poison is not mentioned, the imagery of the poisonous apple seeds adds to the story's intrigue. Cultural practices. In some cultures, there are traditional practices or beliefs associated with apple seeds. For example, in certain regions, apple seeds are avoided or removed before consuming the fruit, based on the belief that they may be harmful. These cultural practices highlight the enduring impact of historical perceptions of apple seeds as potentially toxic. Educational campaigns. In recent years, educational campaigns have aimed to raise awareness about the cyanide content in apple seeds and dispel misconceptions. These campaigns emphasize the low risk of cyanide poisoning from accidentally ingesting a few seeds and promote responsible consumption practices. By providing accurate information, these efforts help to empower individuals to make informed choices. Modern perspectives. While the cyanide content in apple seeds is acknowledged, it is generally regarded as a minor concern in everyday life. Most people consume apples without experiencing any adverse effects from the seeds. However, it's essential to exercise caution, especially around children and pets, and to avoid intentionally consuming large quantities of apple seeds. Medicinal uses. Despite the potential toxicity of apple seeds, there have been historical instances of their use in traditional medicine. Some ancient cultures believed that small doses of cyanide could have therapeutic effects. For example, in traditional Chinese medicine, apricot kernels, which also contain amygdalin, were used for their purported medicinal properties. However, the use of cyanogenic compounds in medicine is controversial and not recommended due to the associated risks of cyanide poisoning. Cyanide content in other foods. While apple seeds are often highlighted for their cyanide content, they are not the only food source that contains cyanogenic compounds. Many other fruits, seeds, and plants contain similar compounds that can release cyanide when ingested. For example, bitter almonds, cherry pits, and certain types of beans also contain amygdalin. Awareness of cyanide-containing foods extends beyond just apples. Ecological significance. In nature, cyanogenic compounds serve various ecological functions. Some plants produce cyanogenic glycosides as a defense mechanism against herbivores. When plant tissues are damaged, such as by chewing or crushing, cyanogenic compounds are released, deterring herbivores from consuming the plant. In this way, cyanogenic compounds contribute to the complex dynamics of plant-herbivore interactions in ecosystems. Overall, the story of apple seeds and cyanide encompasses a blend of folklore, science, culture, and modern awareness efforts. Understanding the historical context and scientific facts can help to demystify this intriguing aspect of the apple's legacy. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.